Okay, we're live. We moved locations. We're surrounded by four walls, much more cramped, darker. It's cold outside.
Someone call the police.
Thanks, Eagle. Welcome to the calling the Audible Division D-1 Div D-2 here on this Thursday evening. Along with me, of course, is the hologram himself, Alex Halowak.
Thanks for joining us again, FPF Nation. If you're tuning in for the second week, then obviously you haven't broken up with us yet.
Or you hate one of us, probably yours truly, more than Eagle or Halowak.
Probably it's yours truly, definitely.
Your fan club, TOPSZN, doesn't like me.
They have every right not to like you. You call yourself yours truly, so...
Well, they lost. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about those games that we saw the week that was for Div D-1 and Div D-2. We'll give you our Power 5 rankings. We'll talk about which quarterbacks in Div D-1 has surprised the golf to a good start that has caught our attention, and a few other topics here and there. Are we buying and selling 2-0 teams? Which is the best of the bunch? And do we think one of these 2-0 teams will be playing for the Larry O'Brien Trophy?
You know what? This is a very good show on deck. I'm very excited for this show.
So what do we call the Div D-1 trophy? The Larry O'Brien Trophy?
Well, what is the Larry O'Brien Trophy? Is that
the NBA?
The NBA trophy?
Yeah.
That was a weak trophy this year. I mean, the finals will be interesting. But
call it the Master Cup?
Yeah, Master Cup.
The Master Cup. There you go. Playing for the Master Cup in August. Anyway, let's dive into it. Let's go through the week that was for Div D-1. We'll get to Div D-2 as well a bit later on. Some games that caught your attention, Alex, was what in your mind?
The first one on the docket, I had a chance to glimpse the Bruh-Mitzvah dismantling I.C.U. by a total score of 23-8 this week. This game started off 16-0 at halftime. It was just all Bruh-Mitzvah. In my perspective, neither of these QBs look good this week, right? You have Dave Daoust, who went 11 for 22, 81 yards, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. Chris Olsen, 13 of 27, 137 yards, 1 TD, 1 INT. Together, these guys put up 3 touchdowns, right? That's kind of a stinker any given week. Bruh-Mitzvah last week, we gave them a little heck for losing their first week. They came out this week, they smothered I.C.U., and they get on the win column, right?
I saw this game here and there on Sunday, and I just thought Chris Olsen never got into rhythm with his offense, and it showed. The slow start out of the gates, being held to a donut in the first half. This is a team, and you mentioned off here, no Eddie Lee, that he wasn't there, and that hurts the offense. But I find that it's more of a mishmash of players than having that chemistry. And you know very well, Alex, you played in this league many years. In order for a team to really have success, you need to develop that long-term rapport, and they don't have that right now. Whereas you look at Bruh-Mitzvah, this is a team that's played with each other for many, many eons here, whether it's the Daou brothers. You have Chris Kalazakis and Marty Freeman, guys who play on other teams, but know each other fairly well here. And I think on this level of football, it pretty much was indicative that Bruh-Mitzvah was a better team and was more in sync, even though, as you said before, David Daoust did not have a great day throwing the football, but at the end of the day, was the better team.
There's a couple of points to bring up here. Firstly, you're absolutely right. Eddie Lee was out, star receiver for I.C.U. Dominic Benevento was out as well, arguably the second best receiver for I.C.U. So you take those two guys, you remove them from the lineup, there's already a glaring issue with the offense. Their total cap was something like 395. They didn't even top 400, right? And the 420 is the cap limit for Div D. So this is not a Div D roster that they fielded in this game. However, I want to see more from Dave Daoust going forward, right? Like you have guys, you have Marty Friedman, you have Zach Goldstein, you have Kalazanakis. I want to say Zach.
Hold on. You have your partners of Greek.
Yeah, I am partners of Greek.
Kalazakis, my friend.
Kalazakis.
What is that, man?
Listen, I spoke to Dave Daoust on the side, and he had great things to say about Kalazakis. He said Chris Kalazakis. Yeah. He said he's a fantastic defender, which is something you don't often hear from Chris. He's more known for being a great receiver for the Tyrants in the past.
Right.
He says he's a fantastic flat defender. He's always got his nose towards the ball. He's always in tight, making breakup plays. So he had great things to say about him. But I want to see Dave Daoust elevate. He needs to find these guys, Marty Friedman, Zach Goldstein, right?
Yep.
He needs to find them more frequently than he has in the first 2 weeks, because these are star players in higher divisions in FBF in terms of their caliber.
Speaking of a game that is quite familiar with you in particular, was your Frosty Bronsons winning barely over the Badgers, 14-13. Some guy named Alex Hawalczyk
Yeah, that's the hologram himself.
Yeah, Alex Hollowak with 6 catches, 80 yards, 1 TD. Matthew Gottlieb with 3 catches for 65 and 1 TD. James Nowakowski, and we'll talk about him as a quarterback and where you see him. And obviously, you being teammates, I'm sure you have to be more on the fence than be cutthroat in your analysis. But Josh Fetter, 14 to 27, 2 TDs, 1 INT. And that's where we look at the quarterback position in this game here. I believe the Badgers do not have the quarterback yet. They're still trying to find that guy, whether it's going to be Fetter or not. It was a different quarterback this week. Whereas you look at Frosty Bronsons and James Nowakowski, it's sort of that Jay Cutler aura, right? He might throw you 4 TDs one week and look phenomenal. Then he might have this type of day. 2 TDs, 3 INTs, albeit in a victory by only 1 point.
Yeah, this was a real barn burner as I roll my eyes. Yeah. But, both QBs in this game were highly inaccurate, okay? They're not going to get any points for a completion percentage. Matthew Gottlieb had a big night. He had 65 yards of TD. He made a spectacular catch down the sideline against one of our defenders, tipping it to himself as he was keeping himself in balance, reeling it in, and then taking it downfield for 40 yards. AJ Rashkovan had another good night on their side. You know what, Josh Feeder, he's developing, I think, as a quarterback. We saw a lot of positives out of him in this game. The way he moves, the way he's mobile, the play calling that he has resembles a lot of ways his brother, Sammy Feeder. Just he lacks the accuracy that his brother has, and especially accuracy when mobile. We saw a lot of times he was scrambling and tried to hit that second layer of receiver in the background, and he wasn't able to get the ball over with the right touch. Maybe that will come, but in terms of play calling and in terms of reading the field, he was good. He was good for a guy who had his possibly one of his first games at the position.
For Fetter, his claim to fame was that he led the Coyotes in winter season 2016. That was last year winter. In a semifinal win over the Bearskins when Sammy was away on work during a midweek game and they won that game. So he has that element of playing quarterback, albeit now whether they're going to make him the long-term guy for the Badgers, I'm not too sure. They're missing a lot of guys here. There was a talk maybe Kevin Smuda playing for them, but he's out for the year with a broken finger. He won't play at all, whether it's going to be here with the Coyotes. But talk to us about the Badgers defense. From the sidelines, you look at the roster again. You have Kyle Pedvis, you have Fetter, you have Cano, you have all these guys who have FPF experience. How tough is their defense, considering what you did, albeit, though, and for them was losing cause?
The score in this game was 14-13. Low-scoring game. Instantly, you want to attribute that to the defense. I said something nice about the offense. I have to say this defense on Badgers needs work. They all line up about 10 yards back off of the snap. They need to approach the line of scrimmage more. Feeder's fine in the background. He's leading his guys the best he can, but it seems like they have some inexperienced pieces up front, and they have to just kind of figure out that you can't line up 10 yards back in FPF. As you mentioned, James Nowakowski should have had a much better day than he had statistically.
But can he improve as a quarterback, though?
Oh, absolutely he can. There's a couple of elements missing. We were 6 guys this week. We were missing some of our bigger receivers. I was relegated to snapping. Usually I play a wideout because of a leg injury. So the elements weren't in line as we would have liked for Frosty Bronsons. James has a tendency to start slow and progress as the season goes along. So I definitely think there's a bright future for him on the horizon in Division D this summer season. And you know what? We're putting our hopes on him. There's no other quarterback for us. So
you know who you can put your hopes on?
Who's that?
Terry Tam.
Terry Tam, he's the official backup quarterback of Frosty Bronson should anything ever happen to James Nowakowski.
He's like the Jared Lorenzen of quarterbacks. That's what he is.
Oh boy, he's going to love that one.
Yeah. KGP RA winning 33-26 over TOPSZN's, your team. They should put your face as the logo for TOPSZN. Forget about the owl, right? The OVO logo.
Let's make it happen, TOPSZN.
I'm sure they can, right? Ryan Garber coming in for Dylan Garber, who is away for work purposes, 13-19 for 124 TDs. Nathaniel Niederman, who you figured out last week, two TD catches. Khalil Kerr, again, it's going to be the good and the bad with him, right? He passed for 168, but was 11 of 27, 4 TDs. So there's the good and bad with it because the completions to attempts isn't that great of a ratio. 4 guys caught a touchdown pass in this game here. Look, I just think for first off, for KGP RA to do what they did was impressive. Not without their quarterback, it felt like they had like a bit of pessimism coming to this game, thinking, well, you know what, we'll be competitive. Not too sure if we'll come out with a victory, but they were more than convincing in their victory over TOPSZN's.
Yes, certainly, and especially given the opponent they're up against. TOPSZN's had a very good season in Division 4A. They're stacked with athletes. They're always trying to solve the quarterback position, but their defense is always intimidating. And to be a team like KGP KGP RA and to go in without your starter, I can understand the hesitation going into it. They fell behind early enough in this game, and they just put out a very gritty effort. This was a team that just wanted to win, and they put their hopes on the back of Ryan Garber, and he delivered. He had a very respectable game, and he moved the chains as he needed to. On the other side, Khalil Kerr, what we saw from him in this game is an evolving quarterback. He's taking his lumps. 11 of 27 is not good in FPF standards. The 4.0 TD INT ratio is fine. However, Khalil Kerr needs to use his God-given talents and run more. It seems like sometimes he's standing in the pocket, he's trying to pass, he wants to develop as a passer. It's a syndrome that a lot of mobile wide receivers who translate to quarterback have, is that they want to develop as a passer, so they forego the run, but just use your advantages, use what you have over everyone else, and the passing will come. Don't force the transition to pure pocket passer, and I think that's something that will help him develop quicker.
First off, your NFL MVP or FPF MVP, Shane Blackwood, 1 tackle, by the way. Just wanted to point that out.
Are we going to do this now every week? Are we going to bring up...
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say, we're going to have the Shane Blackwood tracker. What did Shane do this week? 1 tackle.
Shane Blackwood Award.
There you go. And the winner is Shane Blackwood. Yes, this game was close. I will give TOPSZN their due. They played them tight. I watched the game here and there. You saw them make plays. They weren't afraid to line up with the Phil Cutlers of the world and the Garfingles and Niedermans and Brophies. Those are very good receivers.
Yeah.
Arguably, that might be the best quartet of guys that DG10 can throw to this season, and they held their own fairly well against them. I just think now the question is, and they had 1 INT courtesy of Khalil Kerr, can they get a big play from the supporting cast that is not named Khalil Kerr to change the momentum in their favor? And that's going to be the key for this TOPSZN's roster if they're going to make a run this season.
They're going to need that too. And having spoken to some of their players, we discussed the issue they had in the winter season. How do you have such a talented core of players playing defense and not have the production that should go hand in hand with that? And that's something we're looking for TOPSZN, is can they develop that defense? It seems like they need to either strategize or develop some cohesiveness together in order to get over that little barrier. And we'll see if they can do it this summer season. They weren't able to get the big stops when needed against TOPSZN, against KGP RA this week. But, it's a story to look at going forward.
Kiwi Island winning 48-14 over Backyard Bruisers, the farm team of Backyard Bullies. Joy Fiorillo, 16-21 for 223, 6 TDs. Lebeau with 7 catches, 142 and 2 TDs. Anthony Lazaro, 2 TD catches here. This game was over from the get-go. They jumped out to a big lead, never looked back, and after the first half was 30-6. And there may have been a little bit of testy moments towards the end when they used their timeout to prolong the game when they were up by this current score that they won by. But at the end of the day, Kiwi Island showed a lot, creativity on offense. Fiorillo was very good, buying himself time in the pocket and finding his guys downfield. And their defense came out with big play after big play. I'm just curious now for Lebeau if he's going to be a long-term player, because he is a Vanier guy who is now going to play football down south for UMass. So it's going to be fascinating to see what they do with the roster personnel. But I was quite impressed by their victory. But for Backyard Bruisers, not the best game at all.
No, not at all. They're missing Rich Humes. Off the bat, all-world Division D player, two ways. So that's not going to help their cause at all. They already looked a little bit rough week 1, transitioning to a different quarterback than they traditionally have in the past. Last year was Brennan Burke.
Yeah.
This year it's Chris Pinzanita, I think.
Pendenza, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know the thing is, we don't know if he's going to be the full-time quarterback. That's the question that'll have to be answered next week.
Whenever you don't have an answer at your quarterback position at the beginning of the season, it's always a little bit rough. I'm sure they have an idea in mind. However, there's a bit of adaptation and missing their best players against the Bullies. Kiwi Island, right? These guys were just shot right out of the gate. They're always going to be close to controversy, these guys, all season. They're going to talk, they're going to rattle cages, but so far this year, there's nothing you could say against them because they've just smoked their opponents.
You know what they are? They are like cartoon anarchist characters.
Cartoon anarchists?
Yeah.
In which sense?
That they can, as talented as they are, they can blow up on anybody, right? So they have that North Korea DNA in them, right? We know they're a superpower, right? But we don't know when they're going to blow up on someone again. And that's going to be the key for them. And this is not to poke fun at them, because for those who know their track record, know that a few of their guys have not been in the good books of FPF. And the question is, will anyone use that against them to try to get under their skin and try to force them to take an OC or UR and get them off their game? Because we know, Alex, in FPF, whether it's Div D-1 or Div A or Div F or Div E, someone's going to trash talk the other guy to get them off their game, and it will work one way or another.
Certainly. And the only question now is that, are they the Kim Jong-il's or are they the Kim Jong-uns?
Ooh, I think they're both.
I see them as the Kim Jong-uns. I see them as the little baby dictators.
Who's the fat boy, right?
Yeah, the fat boy.
I think that's Daniel Zara right there. That's Daniel Zara.
So there we go. We're already giving them a little shakedown here from the podcast. So all it takes is this from another opponent to try to get under their skin a bit, and we'll see how they respond to that. You're absolutely right. I've been on the field with some of the core of this roster in the past where they have had an actual breakdown, a mental breakdown and a physical breakdown, and it wasn't pretty at all.
It isn't.
It was very ugly in terms of what you see on a flag football field.
And I guarantee you a team will use that against them at some point during the regular season or playoffs for that matter to get them off their game.
Here's the question. Is there going to be a team that's going to be able to do that while keeping par to them? Because the latent talent of this team is spectacular. If they jump out to a 30-0 lead or 36 lead, it doesn't matter if you trash talk them. They're just going to disregard it. They'll send it right back to you. But if it's tight late in the game, if it's 28-28, deep into the second half, maybe that trash talking starts to have an impact then.
Who knows with Kim Jong-un, Dan Lazara. All right, let's talk about quarterbacks in particular. After 2 weeks of play here, who has surprised you? And I put a list together. You have Justin Blanchard, Joey Fiorillo, Jeff Rosenblatt, or even Hyman Lawang. And people are going to say, well, wait a minute, his stats aren't that great. That's why I brought him into this discussion here. Out of these four quarterbacks here, who has surprised you in a good way or even in a bad way to the first two games of the season?
The first one that comes to mind here is Justin Blanchard. He has 399 passing yards, 10 TDs to 1 INT. He's completing 57% of his passes. He's also rushed for 46 yards and another TD. This is not the Justin Blanchard that your grandpa used to talk about from seasons past. This is the new, improved Justin Blanchard. He's making quick decisions. He's using his legs to buy time, and he's finding his receivers with quick, short, crisp passes, and he's removing the risk from his game, the risk element, which caused him to throw a lot of INTs in the past. So he looks fresh and he looks mean. But the guy that I really want to highlight here is definitely Joey Fiorillo. 444 yards, 12 TDs to 1 INT, 74% completion, 134 QBR, and he's rushed for another 2 TDs. He's leading the league in touchdowns so far. He's leading the league in quarterback rating. He looks like a guy who is focused. He has that excellent supporting staff around him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to give credit where credit's due. He's been by far the best quarterback in this division so far.
I give him his due. He looked very impressive. He looks leaner, quicker. As I said before, he bought himself time in the Bruisers victory here. But the one guy I'm surprised by is Hyman Lawang. We know him fairly well. He's a guy who's played in lower divisions in years past, but his numbers are down. And albeit he's played for Green Lantern Corps, which is a team that's new to him. We know he plays for the Jays, so he has that chemistry with those guys. But you look at his numbers this year, though, Alex. I mean, as a quarterback through 2 games, 7 TDs, 3 INTs, and he's only a 52% passer percentage-wise. And that is unheard of for him. He's a guy that's somewhere in the low 60s, even up to the mid-60s, who's calm, cool, and collected. But this year I'm surprised by what he's done. But Jeff Rosenblatt, that's the guy I'm going to give his due to, because you look at him this year, coming off a horrific injury that he suffered in January. So far this year, 8 TDs, 350 yards passing, and it looks like he's not lost a step, no pun intended, with his offense. And it's like he's back to where he was 4 months ago. And I think if we were to put money on it right now, I would probably have him as my favorite to win quarterback of the year right now.
You know what? I wouldn't, if I was a smart bettor, I wouldn't actually put money against you either. Jeff Rosenblatt is a smart, experienced quarterback. He's lighting it up in Division C as well, where he has a stacked roster. So he knows how to use the guys that he's become familiar with and how to create space and when to feed them, right? So Jeff Rosenblatt, I'm not surprised at all about his quick start. And also it's great to see him back and in good condition, slinging the football like he's known to. Hyman Lawang, however, I don't give him much blame. I was there this winter season when the Green Lantern Corps went, and don't quote me on the record, but I'm going to say 1-9.
They were bad.
It was just a nightmare. So to have Hyman Lawang to bring him in and say, look, go solve our problems, it's not going to work. That's not going to be fair on his part. Certainly his for a guy who plays a short, quick kind of offense like he does, he needs to improve his completion percentage, but you can't put the problems of that team on his shoulders entirely. He's
like Chad Pennington out there, He'll get you those nice 4-yard completions. He'll never go 40 yards for the bomb for the touchdown here. If there's 5 plays left, and you need to have one guy out of these 4 right here to win you the Master Cup trophy in August, who would it be? Blanchard, Fiorillo, Rosenblatt, or Hyman Lawang?
I'm taking Jeff Rosenblatt. I mean, I don't know if I jumped your answer here a bit, but I'm taking the wily vet gunslinger to do what he needs to do to find a way to win, to get crafty.
Fiorillo, I would look at, but I think Justin Blanchard would be my guy.
Justin Blanchard?
I think his ability, he can process plays fairly well now, and you made a valid point about him where he was now, not the grandfather's Justin Blanchard here, but I think his ability to buy himself time with his quick legs, quick feet that is, enables him to find himself some more time to work with and, make a play.
He still kind of throws like a girl in my opinion, and that's not to say that there's some fantastic female quarterbacks in the mixed leagues, but
Vanessa Beer's pretty good.
Yeah, she's awesome, but he's got a soft arm, so I wouldn't want to take him with 4 plays left only.
Buyer to selling. Looking at the 2-0 teams, and this is where obviously we always look at teams and forecast where they'll be. At 2-0 right now, you have the Diablos, SNC, KGP RA, SOB, Liz Africa, and Kiwi Island all at 2-0. Let's go through every team right now. Buy or sell. Diablos, are you buying or selling this team right now at 2-0, given that they play SNC, Kiwi Island, get off my ID in the next few weeks?
Look, I'm gonna sell Diablos while they're high. Not to say that I don't think they're gonna have a strong season. I just think that they're not gonna be able to maintain this pace against this elevated core of teams that they're coming up against. They just smoked their opponent this week. I forget who it was. Perhaps we'll bring it up. But it was an unfair, uncontested one-side matchup against a handicapped team at best. We're gonna bring the name of their opponent just up in a second.
Fun Boys.
The Fun Boys without Scott Maranovich, who was away. So his replacement threw 4 INTs to Diablos. And whenever you have a game like that, where Derek Easton, I believe his name is just feeding the opposing defense, Diablos are just gonna have a block party. So I like the Diablos. I think they're going to have a respectable record. I just think they're going to slow down. That's why I sell while they're hot right now.
I'm going to sell them. It's a bitter taste in my mouth from last year, how they played the 9-1 and they got blown out in the playoffs and didn't do anything.
They lost 2 games to Longhorns in a row.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was absolutely nuts. So I'm selling Diablos because you look at their future schedule, SNC, tough team. Dreamville, a very good defense. If they get things figured out on offense, they'll be okay. Kiwi Island can put up points here, and Get Off My D can put up points here. So I'm selling Diablos right now.
You don't even have on the list. They're going to have to play the Frosty Bronsons at some point this year. So chop up another one on their record.
SNC, look, they got Diablos, Get Off My D, and Fun Boys. Some key games in the next 4 or 5 weeks here. Are you buying or selling this team?
I'm buying SNC. I like this team. I think they're a composed unit. I think they have all of the experienced pieces in line, and I think they've shown that they can win time and time again, not only in this division, but also in higher divisions. So I'm definitely buying into SNC, and I think I'm getting them at a discount here after week 2. What about you?
So you're buying to 60 cents off the dollar here? Is that what it is? Look,
maybe 30 cents off the dollar, but still.
I'm going to sell them for now.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to sell them for now.
You're going to be crying later when you try to buy back in.
Oh, don't worry. I can always buy back in. Those stats that they have can always be altered. Let's put it that way. I can always buy myself back in there. Look, I'm selling them for now. I want to see a bigger sample size from this team. Look, we know about this roster from last winter, transition over now to our very own Justin Blanchard as the guy that faces the franchise, the face that runs this place.
Honestly speaking, as it always should have been. Pease is not an answer at quarterback by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh boy. I'm gonna hold off right now and sell them for the time being. KGP RA, they'll play Liz Africa, SOB, Kiwi Island in the next 4 or 5 weeks here. Are you buying or selling?
I like this team. I think they're a tough team. They're well built. They're strong. I'm gonna. You know what? I wish there was a hold button on this.
You can say hold.
I'm gonna hold on KGP RA.
I'm buying, man.
You're buying?
I'm buying. Put the Eagles car on the line. Put Justin Blanchard's glasses. GM's gel they use in the morning.
Why are we selling my stuff for?
Because we need to. I need any collateral, buddy. I am buying KGP RA. They are a team that I love. I love the confidence that they have. They ooze with swagger on the football field on both sides here. And this is a team that has a mix of youth and veteran leadership with the Cutlers on the roster that has made them much more comfortable out there. From where they were a couple years ago as a minor league roster for KGP champs to where they are now, it's a 180. And I'm buying this team from here on in.
I think that their win this week against TOPSZN without their starting quarterback was a big testament. They're definitely an impressive squad, and I might be making a mistake to hold, but I'm going to hold. I'm going to wait off here.
All right, they're a conservative buyer. SOB, they will have KGP, and they will have SNC coming up in the next while here. Are you buying straight out of breath or selling?
Listen, guys, you've had a fantastic start. We're not familiar with you yet as a core. You've definitely impressed through the first 2 weeks. I'm going to sell, though, at this point, simply for those those questions, those unanswered questions that we might still have about this roster, right? Like, how are they going to develop? How are they going to match up versus the premier teams of this division? How are they going to respond under the heat of the Division D scheduling? These are all questions that I'd love to see, but I'm going to sell now while they're 2-0.
I agree. I'm going to sell them right now. I still know what the forecast for them, especially the next 2-3 weeks here. They can drop to 2-2 or 2-3 by the midway point of the season and perhaps fighting for a wild card spot. So I'm going to sell them as we speak.
Definitely the most interesting team, though, in this alignment, and I'd put an asterisk next to them, and we should revisit this in a couple weeks to see if they make us eat our words.
5-0. I told you they'd be 5-0.
I told you, yeah.
Everyone knew they'd be 5-0.
We'll be here arguing in 5 weeks about who said it.
Les Affreux, they have SOB, KGP RA, Kiwi Island. This is a pretty tough 3 games that they'll have at some point during the regular season.
I have to sell Les Affreux. I mean, I'm not trying to hoard my pennies here for a brighter day, but Les Affreux have a history of failing to meet the high expectations that they set for themselves, either through their impressive play or through their strong rosters. So I think going into this schedule, we're going to see some drop-off here. I don't know if it's at the beginning or the latter end of the schedule, but I'm selling.
So they're like the Washington Capitals then?
Yes, exactly, like the Washington Capitals, or like the Washington Wizards of a basketball analogy, you know,
or the Washington football team.
Any Washington franchise. Yeah.
I too will sell Les Affreux. Again, long-term team. We know what they're all about. But again, I just think with what they have lined up and how they've played of late, I just don't know if they can be a deep one of the last remaining teams to be undefeated, say by week 8 or week 9 of the season. Finally, Kiwi Island, they have Fun Boys, Diablos, KGP RA, and Les Affreux. 4 tough games here and a good test for them to go through, a gauntlet of very good teams. Are you buying or selling Kiwi Island?
Well, I have to buy them here. I have to buy them at week 2. There's some things that obviously we will question with them. Can they keep their cool? Can they keep their heads, their emotional state? Our team's going to be able to rattle them with trash talking, but they've just blown out their opposition in the first 2 games so far, and it hasn't even been close. They've been running laps around the teams they played against, so I have to buy them at 2-0. I have to throw some chips into the pot here, and we'll see if it produces.
Does Washington have a good sports team, or they just all suck?
They don't. None of them suck. That's the thing. They're all pretty good, but none of them are elite.
What's the arena football team's name again? It's called the Valor, I think it is. The Vapor. Check out the AFL.
Definitely not Victory, that's for sure.
Check out the AFL. Google it up, please. Hunger Games. Eagle. AFL Washington football name. I think it's the Valor. Anyway, he'll give that answer to us very shortly here. I'm going to hold.
Valor, correct.
There you go. They're pretty good. I'm going to hold right now. I just don't know. You brought up some great points, and the maturity factor will be a key thing here, but these are very tough games. These 4 games can very well determine if they're going to be perhaps a 1 seed or a 7 seed in the playoffs here.
7, wow.
I think that's how close it's going to be in Div D-1. And I think right now for them, I want to see a bigger sample size before I will lay down the money on these guys.
We also want to see how their QB responds in the upcoming weeks against this tougher inclination of challenge.
Out of these teams right now, can you pick one to say they probably have the best chance to go to the Master Cup Trophy Finals in Bronsons?
Yeah, I'm taking Kiwi Island. I bought some shares. I'm saying they're going to the Master Cup's Trophy Finals at this point.
Hashtag Master Cup.
Love them or hate them, but they've looked mean so far.
KGP RA, that's who I'm putting my money on right now.
I know, my boy DG10. My boy.
DG10, bro. That's how we roll, man.
It's going to be a segment on the show in the upcoming weeks.
Forget about Big Baller Brand. We got DG10 brand, brother. That's what we have. Power rankings, top 5. You want to go first or should I go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
There you go.
Let's do it. I've got Kiwi Island, I've got SNC, I've got KGP RA, I've got LA, Les Affreux, and then finally rounding it off, I've got the Diablos in there.
Wow, we are totally off Mars.
Why?
Well, for the reasons we just indicated, right? My top 2 are teams that I bought shares of, and the other ones are all still undefeated. So I'll put them in the top rankings. This looks like a powerful group of teams. It looks like the echelon that's separating itself from the rest of the pack at this point. What about Mocon? Give us your insight.
I got KGP RA as my 1, Les Affreux as my 2, Get Off My D is my 3. People are like, what the hell are you talking about? Well, how are they 3? Bruh-Mitzvah is 4, Diablos is 5. Diablos, again, they got to show to me they can win a big game. They have not done that yet, going from last year into this year, so they'll be 5. I'll give them their respect for being undefeated here. Bruh-Mitzvah, watching them play on Sunday, I was very impressed by their defense, albeit a weaker team that they played against in I.C.U, but I believe they have a chance if they, again, keep their focus and they keep cool. they can make a move up the ranks. Then you look at the get off my D. I love this offense here. I believe that they can put up 40, 50 points a game. Well, not 50, but 40 points more likely than not on any given week, and they can definitely keep up with the Joneses. Les Affreux, look, I'll put them there for now, but I'm holding off on this team here. Again, same thing with Diablos. They have to win some critical games to prove to me that they are ready to play with the big boys.
Okay, that's a very fair point. Can we agree that it seems like these teams, these 5-7 teams that we've mentioned, are kind of distinguishing for themselves an upper echelon of Division D1 already in this early season, saying that they're better than the rest of the teams in the pack?
Well, and look, I think the history is showing that we will always see an upset or two in these lower division playoffs. So at some point, if these 5 teams that we mentioned here are in the playoffs, which I think they will be, one of these 5 are going to get bounced in the first round. Someone's going to get bounced. We don't know who, though. And
that's always been the case.
And whoever gets bounced will not have a chance to hoist that Master Cup.
They won't be hoisting any Master Cup champions this year. They'll be just drooping their heads in the feet.
Absolutely. Coming up next, we'll talk Div D2 and then get you geared up for that. What caught our attention here? Same thing. Who we buying? Who we selling for 2-0s? And we'll talk about the pass rushing ace and some chicken wings.
I love it.
Stay tuned. This is Calling the Audible with the hologram himself, the Eagle, and yours truly, Moe Khan. Live from Papineau, or is it West Island, Kirkland Dome? I don't know which one it is. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. Apparently, we're like Adam Schefter. We're teleporting from different backgrounds. We're now in Kirkland. We're now in Brossard. And now we're in someone's backyard, for all I know. Welcome back here to Calling the Audible Division D2. Now we have our very own hologram and Alex Hollowak and Eagle, who's a little bit stressed out.
I hate this. It drives me insane.
I know it does. And this is your idea, right? You had like a month to prepare for this.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, you're the Eagle genius. What the hell is that? You said like, where's the car?
There we go. A little bit of enthusiasm for our inaugural voyage in FPF Studios today.
Our best episode yet. We've been through 2 so far. Episode and a half. Let's dive into it, Mr. Hologram. Let's go into the Div D2 week that was. What caught your attention from this past week's action? So,
first game on the docket here for D2. The Mountaineers climb over the Lallas, smoking on the Lallas, that is, 37-13. Julien Fizet-Cyr, comfortable in the pocket, 17-23, 185 yards, 6 TDs to 1 INT. The Vienne brothers just combined to demolish their opponents in this one. 9 catches, 146 yards, 3 TDs. Are these guys just the best combo, the best duo in Division D2 in your opinion, Mo?
With the tag team wrestling brothers, the Steiners, the Rougeaus, now the Viennes, I think they're up there.
I think they're up there.
I think they both possess qualities that people are envious of. You made a great point, though. Once the ball is in their hands, they just explode through for another 25 million yards, and they're great. They're great. They know they
complement each other.
They do, and they know their landmarks. They know where to be. They know how to use the sidelines well to their advantage, and it is burst through without any remorse for their bodies.
M.A. Vienne is like perhaps the biggest underneath beast in all of FPF in any division. He catches balls, he catches quick slants, and he turns it upfield. He's got explosion, he's got hands, he's got box out ability, and then Fred Vienne is just a complete athlete. He can torch you over the top on a go route. He can beat you on a post. So they complement each other so well. This team is so stacked for Division D2, and it's based off of their 2 superstars, right? Also, Matthew Giron-Provost had a big game, 5 catches, 28 yards, and 2 TDs. So we see the development third element of this offense come into play. The young buck Avery Lalla struggled in this one.
No, you know why they lost?
Why did they lose?
2 words: Brent Callender.
Yeah. He was rushing as well. So I don't know.
There you go. Carlton Banks rushing. You're not going to win any football games.
He was rushing, and he was their top receiver. So there's some kind of something wrong with that team.
But you look at Avery Lalla, and this is a FPF junior star now applying his trade in the big boy league. He's playing for 2 teams now in the summer league. He's showing the confidence to make some throws, but I think with time he'll get better as a quarterback. It's a matter of repetition playing against faster, bigger, better football players than what he's doing in FPF Junior.
So that's it. So you introduce him to us a bit. Avery Lalla, he plays in FPF Junior. How old is he? Do you know? Is he 17 years old?
Can we get a LinkedIn profile on him, please?
I don't think you can have LinkedIn if you're underage.
What's the minimum? What's the minimum age of FPF?
16.
16. So he's at least 16.
Perhaps.
Perhaps he's 17.
You know how it's in Cuba, right? They say they're really 22, but they're really 44.
Yeah.
So he could be like 25. You know. Ziggy, exactly. There you go. Thank you, GM.
But he is competing in the older league now, and through 2 games he only has 4 TDs so far. So he's definitely going to have to make some adjustments, and he's going to have to utilize some of the weapons on his team. He's going to have to use his dad more, Tony Lalla, excellent receiver in FPF.
Is Tony Lalla like the LeVar Ball?
No, he's not the LeVar Ball.
We're undefeated, son. We don't lose. Wear those Triple B shoes over there.
I have a LeVar Ball in mind, but we're not going to mention it on today's show.
Is it a Div D2 player?
Well, LeVar Ball has to be a dad. Has to be the father.
So is it a player from Div D2
no,
the father?
Div D-1.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. That's so wrong of you. And you used to give these guys lifts, huh? Incredible.
So, but totally in a different way, but in terms of impact on FBF, of course. So Avery Lalla is going to have to definitely elevate his game. He's going to have to use, the guys on the roster. Brent Callender, if he's the number 1 receiver, then albeit feed him like a number 1 receiver.
That's the problem. If he's your number 1 guy, you're in serious trouble.
Yeah, I guess Brent just came in and told him, "Hey, I'm the top receiver here. Throw me the ball." That's how the team was made.
Screeching voice here.
Hey, I'm the rusher here, so get out of my way.
Trinity skinned the Pandas 32-13. And again, this is the same script for Trinity. Fast starts, dominant in their wins, and then come talk to me come playoffs. Are they going to make it or not? GF Marquis, 5 TDs, 157 yards passing. Ryan Caruth was 9 of 20 for 126, 2 TDs and an awful 5 INTs here. Sampson and you look at Jubenville, Bissett, they combined for 5 touchdown grabs between the 3 of them. A very impressive performance by them. But again, as I said to you before here, Alex, this is the team that I want to see them. They did it before, but last year was a dud of an end for them. Can they overcome the hiccup and perhaps make a deeper run in the Master Cup 2 finals? I like this win this week by Trinity. I think this is a benchmark for them this season against Pandas. Pandas are one of those teams, perennial underachievers. They show amazing potential. They have big games, and then they crack under the pressure other ones. Tartuffe was the opposite of JF Marquis. In terms of stats, Alexandre Jubenville had 3 INTs in this game. Vincent Marquis had a tackle and 2 PDs on defense, made his impact as well. I think Trinity in this one, beating the Pandas, who are of a higher caliber during the winter season, I think that was a mark for them, and I think they're going to use that as a stepping stone to build their confidence going forward, and they're going to start to really steamroll, I think, and catch their stride. Now, what happens in the playoffs is a completely different issue, right? Yeah. They choked last year. It's not hidden from anyone. They lost to the Knights, 1 versus 8 seed in the first round, but maybe they're using that as motivation this year to really shore up all of their flaws and show us a new Trinity. War Pigs, they upend the Roadrunners 26-25. Korwalowski, 4 TDs on 12 of 23 passing for $188. This is a team, again, watch them play here and there, doing photos on Sunday at Papineau. A lot of big plays. A lot of big defensive stops here, and I was quite surprised. I thought the Roadrunners would have beaten this team here. They got back the Wrangler and Darren Medizian back in the lineup here, and yes, he's coming off an injury, but I'm not gonna lie. This in my books was an upset for the War Pigs to beat them by 1. Yeah, I don't consider it an upset, but I think it's a huge win for the War Pigs and equally a devastating loss for the Roadrunners. But converts were the name of the game in this one, right? You're looking at 26-25, 2 converts versus 1 convert or a double convert, whatever it was. 4 touchdowns in total, perhaps. 4 touchdowns in total, both sides. Corey Woloski was
steady as always, right? 4 touchdowns, 180 yards. You can book that for Corey Woloski every week. He went to Greg Grant. He went to David Beltrami, 2 of his go-to guys on this team. Matthew Yanakoulias matched him, 4 touchdowns, 0 INTs. He found Greg, I'm really getting workout here, Greg Kritsalas and Darren Miggs.
You know what we should do? We should just dub your voice the Greek names with GM. GM will come in there and Greg... Enter GM's voice.
We can do that now because we have a green screen.
Exactly.
GM can stand in the background dressed in all green and just be a floating head and voice in
like
the
Gazoo
Greek
and the
names.
Flintstones here. You know?
I was going to say like the Vancouver penalty box guys.
Yes. Find out the names, please.
Oh shit!
But you know what?
Thank you.
I don't consider this an upset because I think War Pigs are one of the big teams in this division. I don't look down on the War Pigs. I don't think the Roadrunners are necessarily better than the War Pigs. I see them as equals. If not, I'll give the experience of the War Pigs a slight edge in this one. So in terms of upsets, not for me.
By the way, since we have Eagle here,
The Green Men Force and Sully.
Thank you. We have the FPF Twitter handle, right?
We definitely do.
So we can post up any poll question we want, correct?
Yes, we can.
So can you put on the poll, are war pigs actual cops fighting a war? Yes or no on the poll, please. At FPF.
We're not doing this.
Oh, come on. I'm going to talk to PZ about this one.
That's
fine. Look, again, you think it's not an upset. Good victory for them. I think it's an upset. They had no business. If they play each other 9 times out of 10, they got their 1 out of 10 right there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think so. Buy or selling. Let's talk about some teams who are now 2-0 in the division or in the league itself here. We have All Hooks, Trinity, Lobster Dinner, Mountaineers, Ravens, Big Fun Party Mix 8, all 2-0. Go with All Hooks here. They got Trinity and Mountaineers coming up in the next few weeks here. You know how I feel about them. I think they're going to the finals here. Do you like them at 2-0 right now? Are you buying or selling?
I wish I could go against you on this one, make it a bit more controversial. I love All Hooks as well. I'll buy as many shares as I can in this team. I think they have a fantastic, mature quarterback who plays the game the way it should be played, and he runs, he passes when he needs to. He's just all around competent at his position.
Mr. Levine, yes.
Yeah, so I'm definitely buying All Hooks, as many shares as I can.
I'm all in. I've been all in since last January. They should have won last year in winter season, which they didn't do. And now here they are in a prime spot at 2-0 to control their destiny and perhaps hoisting the Master Cup 2 trophy in early August.
They lost to the legend, Danny Damour. Danny bounced them out of the playoffs, but still a fantastic season, and they have a great quarterback.
Danny Damour, please.
Second all-time interception total in FPF
he's like Willie McGinnis. That's what he is when it comes to the sack record for playoffs. Trinity, they have Lobster Dinner, All Hooks, Mountaineers, and Still Preaching, who I put on the list because we know producer Lindor's watch right now, our only viewer, and I want to make him feel good about himself here. So Trinity, though, they have a very tough schedule. Yeah. But it's something that I will say right now. If they can go through this row of games here, which is 4, if they can come out of it 3-1, it'll prove a lot to me that maybe they're ready to take that next step to become a legitimate threat to win the Div D-2 title this season.
I like that. 3-1, I think, is fair because you're looking at these teams. If they want to be a contender, they have to beat Still Preaching at this point. And then you have 3 undefeated teams, Lobster Dinner, All Hooks, and Mountaineers. So that would mean that they beat 2 out of those 3 teams, which would make them pretty legit in my books. So I'm going to buy some shares of Trinity. I'm going to not buy as much as I'm buying in All Hooks, but I'm still going to put quite a few pennies down on them. And I like what they've shown us so far.
I'm holding right now. I don't know. I don't want to buy just yet. I want to see them to go through this gauntlet of games first. Then we'll go from there. So I will hold off. Lobster Dinner have Trinity and Ravens. Those are the 2 toughest games on their schedule here. I'll start off. I think I'm going to sell this team right now. I like this core roster is not explosive in my books. I don't think they have that ability to keep up with the All Hooks of the world or the Trinities of the world. I think they will have a lull at some point here. I think it begins now. They might end up being 2-3 by the time we reach week 5 of the season.
Okay, well, I think you're crazy. I'm going to buy shares in Lobster Dinner. I like Jeff Brown at quarterback. Tell me that's Jeff Brown. John Brown at quarterback.
John Brown.
Jeff Brown, I'm sure.
Jeff, same thing.
I'm sure Jeff's a good quarterback too. He's a great receiver. But I'm going to buy Lobster Dinner. That's actually opposite of what you said. I think they haven't hit their peak yet. They're just still building chemistry with one another because it is quite a few new additions to that roster, and I think that they're going to peak later on in the season, possibly against these two teams on the list. So I'm definitely a big fan of Lobster Dinner. I'm buying shares in them.
Oh, by the way, Avery Lalla is 16 years old.
Okay, so there you go. 16. Good on him to compete in FPF at 16. I wasn't
Barely 16.
What is that question of yours? What is wrong with you? You know, you're going to the penalty box for 2 minutes. Time yourself for 2 minutes. You can't come on air, please.
Gonna join the green men.
Go ahead. Immerse yourself with a green shirt in the background here. Mountaineers. They got Fun Mix coming up. Roadrunners, All Hooks. 3 valuable games on their schedule. I'm going to buy this team. Mm-hmm. I've seen them play, and my question is the roster. It was a bit small on Sunday, but this is the team, as we talked about earlier in the segment, explosive, smart. They play really good defense. They close in on angles very well on attacking the 50-50 balls in the air. And I just love the fact that like the Vian brothers, who may be the third best wrestling tag team in FPF history, are really taking this team on their shoulders as leaders. And you're seeing the labor fruit really show itself with how well they've been so far this season.
Yeah, you know what? I'm using all of my money here that I saved in the Division D1. I'm going to buy some Mountaineers share as well. I think they're possibly going to the finals this year, and there's just too much to like about this team at this point. There's not enough flaws to look at and say, well, this is why they would lose, or this is why they would lose. It looks like they should be rolling until a greater force slows them down, and I don't really see that force in this division right now.
Ravens, they have, and by the way, the Ravens roster is like a team full of. It's like a skinny guy using steroids to become like a super duper player, right?
Yeah, it's like show me your TDs liked. I think that's the way that they describe it.
Look at the roster, right? Alex David makes this roster. Anthony Adana, Daniel Adana. You look at Matthew Uhl, who had a monster year with the Ravens last season in the winter year. Mike Adana's on this team here. This is a team.
The skinny fat. They're skinny fat.
It's like in Fast and Furious 2 when they put the nitrate in the car, right, to get that boost for the car. That's what they are. These boosts their car. These Div 3 players on the roster.
Maybe some manipulation behind the scenes of roster caps.
Perhaps
the season was done by the
muscling the way through.
Alex David, mastermind.
They got Big Fun Party Mix, Roadrunners, All Hooks coming up. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Horns, Longhorns, Lobster Dinner, Big Fun Party Mix. So those are some relative easy games. They might have the easiest course of path to perhaps be undefeated by the time Week 10 rolls around here. Are you buying or selling Ravens?
I'm going to sell the Ravens, actually.
Oh, wow.
I love the roster. I love the direction. I think that I want to see how they progress against these teams here. I would hold, but I'm going to sell because I spent too much money already. So I'm going to sell my Ravens shares. I'm going to reinvest them in those other teams. Not very good logical reason. I just got a gut feeling that something's coming. I think that the game against Lobster Dinner is going to be very indicative of where this team stands come playoff time. I think the game against Big Fun Party Mix is going to be another one. So I need to see more out of this team before I can commit.
Buy. That's what I'm doing right now with the Ravens. I love this team. They cheated their way. They circumvented themselves through this cap system to get themselves to this roster here. If you ain't cheating, you ain't winning, right? Or if you ain't winning, you ain't cheating. Whatever.
Hey, I'm not gonna point.
If you ain't cheating,
I'm not pointing my gun at them because I can't handle the bullet coming back. Everybody tries to do what they can to get in these cap savvy days. So you can't really blame them.
They're bringing the tank to a knife fight. That's what they're doing right now. They have a loaded roster from top to bottom here, and I'm liking them a lot. Big Fun Party Mix. They got Mountaineers, Runners, and Ravens. 3 tough games on their schedule here. Are you buying or selling this team right now?
I'm selling this team right now. I think that they had their run the first 2 weeks against soft opponents in this division, and now against a tougher team. Starting this week against Mountaineers, we're going to see what kind of mettle this team truly has. And if I had to make a bet on it, I'm gonna sell them.
Is it because of who's throwing the ball for them?
Partially. Here's the thing about Evan Eli. Maybe nobody's had a harder start than him in Division D2. I believe he has 12 TDs already versus 2 INTs. He has over 400 yards, so that's more than 200 yards a game. He's lighting it up. However, the mark of what separates the mediocre or the good from the great is how you do against the top teams. Last year, at the end of the season, we saw him run amok over some of the weaker opponents against on his schedule with the same team, Big Fun Party Mix. And maybe you see a team on your roster that looks a little bit flawed and vulnerable, and you lick your chops a bit. But what do you do against the top dogs? What do you do against the true contenders? And we saw he struggled with those in Division 5 at some points. So until he can correct that in this division, I'm going to say that they're going to crack under pressure when that comes, and I'm going to sell Big Fun Party Mix because of it.
A lot of 69ers players are on this roster, so their fingerprints are all over this team here. I'm going to hold off right now. Give me 2 more weeks I'll give you a better answer about where I see them, if they're a pretender or contender for the season. Out of these teams, you mentioned it before, that we could probably see one of these teams go to the finals. Who do you think that will be now?
So I think the finals is going to be Mountaineers for me. That's going to be my finals team, going all the way.
All Hooks, brother.
All Hooks, but I think they're in different divisions, so I think we'll see All Hooks against Mountaineers. That would be what we're putting our bet down right now.
Eagle, your misconduct's done. Who do you have going to the finals?
I don't know. I mean,
well-informed answer there.
Eagles in Division E. He's his team's trying to score more than 14 points a game.
There's a lot of good rosters in Division D2 here.
It's on steroids. That's what it is.
That's what it is. So I mean, and that's the thing. Each team has its own strengths and weaknesses. Like some are going to be really strong on the offensive side, some are going to be really strong on the defensive side, some are going to be kind of mixed down the middle. So I think it's all going to depend on matchup. And if you have a team that can shut you down and all you have on your team is offense, well then you're going to lose that game. So it's going to come down to really who you're facing in the round robin and then the tree structure. So
he just gave a cliche answer. They have a bit of this, a bit of that.
Banal platitudes galore in that answer.
I've been trained by the best, obviously.
Put on the poll question. Did Eagle use a cliche? Yes or no?
Well, that's the yes for sure.
That's a yes. There's no question there.
All right, quickly here, Power 5 rankings. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my top 5. I got Mountaineers, I got All Hooks, Ravens at 3, Big Fun Party Mix at 4, and Trinity at 5, and then I'm going to have Lobster Dinner just knocking on the door at 6, waiting to be heard from.
Wow, I have All Hooks 1, Ravens 2, Mountaineers 3, Mix at 4, Trinity at 5. And I'm not going to go over All Hooks. I made my point about this team here. Trinity will be at 5. I know they're coming off an impressive win, but again, it comes down to their schedule. We talked about what they have to do. If they can go 3-1, we're talking about a real deal contender. But right now, they're my number 5 team.
That's it, and it's week 2. Like these things are going to shake up every week. I think that the important part is we can agree that these 5 teams, like we said in Division 1, are starting to distinguish themselves a bit. However, I do predict that there's going to be more shake up in Division D2 overall power rankings throughout the course of the season than there will be in Division D1.
We'll look at this in a few weeks' time. Here, let's talk about inside the stats here, the pass rushing department here. JP Lemonade Vikings have 9 sacks through 2 games. He's on pace to get over 40, according to the stats out there, crunched to the numbers here. Will Lamela get anywhere close to 40 sacks?
I love the way you say his name, Lamela. It's like our former producer Chapman was here saying Lamela. But so he will not get 40 sacks, nowhere near 40 sacks. Come on, 40 sacks?
He's at 9 through 2.
He's at 9 through 2.
That's 4.5
he
per
got
game.
8 sacks this week against Brad Evans of the Longhorns. That was an aberration. He'll never again get 8 sacks unless he's playing Brad Evans again, perhaps in the playoffs or something. But he had 8 sacks in 10 games in the winter season. So there's no way he's going to get 40 sacks. Maybe if he has a fantastic season, which he's on pace to have so far, because I'm not saying he's not a great rusher. He seems like a fantastic rusher from the little sample size that we've had so far. Maybe he'll get 20. Maybe it will be a more realistic over-under. I'll shoot out a 20 at you. Is he going to top 20 sacks at this point?
18.5.
18.5
sacks. Chicken wings. Buffalo Wild Wings, not the actual restaurant, but the team Buffalo Wild Wings, formerly known as Genie. They sent me a photo earlier this week of them legit eating Buffalo Wild Wings products before their game here. If they brought us Buffalo Wild Wings, do we bring them in studio to have them as guests?
So before we get to that, I have a question for you, Mocha.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a list of a few sauces.
I want boneless chickens, by the way. I'm into the boneless
A few
chicken.
sauces from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, but that's not real sauce. That's like white man sauce, though.
You rank them, okay, according to your tastes.
No, I'm not going to rank them because this white man sauce, dude, that's like...
Yeah, white man sauce. Okay, let me
drinking milk.
Let me list the names here. We have Asian Zing. We have Caribbean Jerk. We have...
that's what Eagle is, Caribbean Jerk.
We have Mango Habanero.
The jerk part.
And we have Kicking Honey Garlic. So what's your top sauce out of all those there?
Chutney.
You're a chutney guy?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see that on the menu.
No.
Maybe they're not catering to your demographic yet.
Because the Caucasian population, what is this? Bring my tongue.
I don't know.
What's going on over
Try
here?
their blazing sauce. I think that'll give a little kick to your tongue. But
If they bring us wings, they'll come in studio and be our guests. We'll eat wings all day.
all day. If you bring
Boneless
me wings,
chicken.
who's going to deny somebody who's bringing wings? I don't think they do boneless chicken
They do.
at Buffalo Wild Wings.
They 100% they do. I've heard the commercial.
Okay, but you bring us wings, you're going to get a seat on this chair. You bring us wings and you beat Warriors this week, you will definitely get a seat next to us. You bring us wings and you beat Trinity in week 6, you'll be our sponsored guests.
The bottom line is, you bring us wings, you're in the studio. Okay? You're in the VIP club.
Regardless,
okay?
but there's different chairs over here.
Yeah.
The better teams you beat, the closer you'll be to the panel.
You go from the street to the parking lot to the studio. How
you
about
can be
that?
outside and pass the wings through.
Yeah,
if you lose to
exactly.
Warriors this week, but definitely a team that we're still waiting to see. How they define themselves. What character this team's going to have? Are they going to be one of the contenders? Are they going to be one of the pretenders? But regardless, you bring us wings, you're getting in the door.
One team that needs a big win, a statement victory that they're in need of. It could be a 2-0 team, a 1-1 team, or 0-2 team. Who is that one team that has to win badly this
You're going to
weekend?
give me one team, huh?
One team.
Okay. So here's my one team. Still preaching. They're 1-1. They're going up against the 2-0 Ravens. They made the switch this week
They'll be 1-2 now.
Pat Lindor
They'll be 1-2.
at quarterback, who went 13 of 23 for 167 yards, 5 TDs, no INTs. What universe are we in? Is this is the whole world gone mad?
I hate
Pat
to
Lindor
interrupt
is lighting
you,
it up
but
at quarterback?
They will not have 5 plays at the end of their game on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday.
Okay.
There won't be any 5 plays.
Well, you know what? If we'll be here next week, and they won't
have 5 plays.
won by more than 16 points.
They'll
and then,
lose by 18. They'll lose by 18 minimum.
That's my key game this week. That I want to see Still Preaching make a statement. Say, look, we tried Nick Sarro, we tried Alex Labonte. Pat Lindor is our savior. He's our white knight, and he's going to lead us.
He's not Tom Brady. Let's put it that way. Okay, it's far from it. Yes, Eagle.
What if they win by 18 points and there's still
That's
no
it.
5 plays, right?
Well, then I win the bet.
And Pat Lindor is going to be one very happy dude next week.
See, Mo, I told you, man.
What's your team that needs to make a statement this week, Mo?
Pandas. I think they got to win, but I think more importantly, though, for where they were on Sunday, I thought they kind of had a dud, but they need a big win. This is a team that you look at Suresh, who I like a lot as a football player. He made a phenomenal acrobatic catch
In a big game.
A big game, but again, I think they need more of him and some help. He needs to get some supporting cast to go with his ability to make plays for this football team. That's my team that needs a win badly.
I got another one too. Sorry, you asked me for one.
Yeah.
I'll throw in Red Sharks 0-2 this week, playing the 1-1
God.
Longhorns. If you want to make a statement in this division, if you want to salvage your season, you need to come out and you need to.
You want a lumbering game, you watch that game, okay? You watch that game, okay?
Lumbering. That's a good way to qualify it.
All right, games of the week, Div D-1, Div D-2. Let's go, Eagle.
All right, we have SOB versus a Bruh-Mitzvah. Right now, there's a 3.5 point spread.
No, timeout. You guys say it properly. It's a 3.5 points per spread. Let's go.
3.5 point spread for SOB.
Who do you got?
I sound so dirty saying it.
Tough game. Give me SOB to cover in this one. They're going to win by more than 3.5 against Bruh-Mitzvah. What do you think?
I got Bruh-Mitzvah.
You got Bruh-Mitzvah?
Yeah. Yep.
Dave Daou is gonna put up enough points to match SOB in this one.
Yes, he will. Next game.
All right, we got Diablos versus SNC. 5.5 point favorite to Diablos.
Give me SNC in this one to beat Diablos and to cover the spread.
Yeah, I got that. I got the SNC. Next.
All right, DeVille versus Fun Buys. I imagine that's boys, Mo. Thanks for the typo. 4.5 point favorites
Fun
to
Buys.
DeVille.
Give me Fun Boys in this one with the points. Scott Marinovich, if he's back, they're going to take this one.
Give me Dreamville.
All right, let's go down to D2. We got Trinity versus Lobster Dinner. Trinity's favorited by 9.5.
How can I not take Lobster Dinner with the 9.5 point spread? I'm taking Lobster Dinner all day.
Trinity, brother. They're going to double them. They're going to win by 18. Next.
What will be probably a very fun game to watch. Fun Mix versus Les Montagnards, Mountaineers. 5.5 points to Mountaineers.
Yeah, I'll take Les Montagnards to cover the spread in this one.
I agree.
And our last game, we have Still Preaching versus Ravens. We have 7.5 point favorites to the Ravens.
Look, I just made this bold statement about Still Preaching. Give me Still Preaching to stay within that spread. Whether they'll win doesn't need to be answered in this one, but they'll remain within 7.5.
Ravens, brother, they win by 10 plus against this sad sack team.
So we're going to have something to talk about next week,
Yeah, we
then.
do. I'm sure. Let's see how many people hate you and I next week.
Let's see. I think that
Lindor will be in the first.
I wonder if the
trade.
ratio will even out a little bit now, because right now it's very largely biased towards
Top
yours
season,
truly,
yeah.
as he calls himself.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much, Hologram.
Thank you
Pleasure
very much,
as always. You, Eagle.
We're gonna get these technical things addressed in a couple next week, so we'll be better.
Yeah, we might be in Lachine next week with the background. Let's put it that way. Big thanks to everyone who tuned into the podcast. Obviously, we love to get your feedback on this and what we have to do, but we'll definitely talk more FPF, Div D-1 and Div D-2 next week. Good night, Boston and Ottawa. Perhaps you lost.